A wind reading of +2.5 turned the fastest 200-meter final of the year into a result nobody could officially count. Owen Ansa crossed the line in 19.95 seconds and became European champion in front of a packed Birmingham crowd. But the wind pushed his run outside the legal limit. Behind him, two runners hit the exact same time to the thousandth of a second and had to share a medal. This is the full story of the men's 200-meter final at the 2026 European Championships, and how one German sprinter beat a stacked field that many thought belonged to Great Britain. Before the final even started, the semi-finals had already raised the stakes. Owen Ansa ran 20.04 seconds, a time that matched the fastest mark in Europe for the entire 2026 season, and set a personal best at the same moment. That run alone made him a favorite, but Zarnell Hughes of Great Britain answered almost immediately. Hughes ran 20.05 seconds in a separate heat, with a fully legal wind, and he did it while easing off in the final steps. Hughes is not just a fast runner on paper. He is the British record holder in the 200 meters, with a personal best of 19.73 seconds, a mark that puts him among the quickest Europeans in history. When two men run 20.04 and 20.05 in the same round, and one of them still has more in the tank, everyone watching knew the final was going to be fast. The number chasing every runner in that field was 19.76 seconds. That is the championship record, set by Ramil Guliev of Turkey back in 2018, and it had stood untouched for 8 years. With Ansa, Hughes, Timothy Munthaler of Switzerland, and Esiosa Desalu of Italy, all clocking times under or around 20.10 in the semis, there was real talk that the record could fall in the final. 4 men under 20.10 in one round of a European championship is rare. The final was no longer just a race for gold. It was a race against a number that had survived for 8 years. When the gun went off for the final, it was Zarnell Hughes who exploded out of the blocks. Hughes has always been known for his start, and he proved it again, hitting the 100-meter mark in 10.36 seconds, the fastest split in the field at that point. Right behind him was Timothy Munthaler, splitting 10.39 seconds at the same mark. For a moment, it looked like Hughes might hold that speed all the way home, and finally add a European gold to his British record. Fans in the stadium were already rising to their feet, expecting a home victory. Then, right on the inside of Hughes, Owen Ansa began to move. He was not sprinting yet. He was gliding, closing the gap with every stride coming off the curve. By the final 50 meters, Ansa had completely separated from the field. There was no catching him. He crossed the line first in 19.95 seconds, becoming European champion and dipping under the 20-second barrier for the first time on this stage. It should have been one of the biggest German sprint performances in years. But the wind gauge read +2.5, half a point over the legal limit of +2.0. That single number meant the time could not count as an official personal best or a record. Ansa got the gold medal. He did not get the record book entry that should have come with it. Behind him, Zarnell Hughes held on for silver, finishing in 20.12 seconds. It was not the time he wanted after that blistering start, but a silver medal at a home European championship is still a major result for the British record holder. The story behind him, though, is what made this final unforgettable. Esiosa Desalu of Italy and Timothy Munthaler of Switzerland crossed the line together, and when the results came through, both were timed at exactly 20.251 seconds. Not close. Not almost identical. The exact same number, down to the thousandth of a second. Under championship rules, that means both athletes share the bronze medal. 2 men, from 2 different countries, standing on the same step of the podium with the same time on the clock. Ties this precise are rare in sprinting, and seeing it happen at the bronze position in a final this fast made the moment even bigger. So here is where the title of this race gets complicated. Owen Ansa is the European champion. His name goes in the record books as the 2026 winner. But because of that wind reading, the fastest number of the night will always come with an asterisk next to it. Zarnell Hughes proved again why he is the British record holder. even if silver was not the color he came for. And the tied bronze between Desailly and Munthaler.
He was faster than Usain Bolt ever was at the same age. He broke a record that had stood untouched for years. And then, on one ordinary night in Brisbane, it all came apart in a single second. This is the story of how the biggest teenage sprint story in the world fell apart before it even reached the starting line. Gout is 18 years old, born December 29, 2007 in Ipswich, Queensland. And by the middle of 2026, he was already one of the most talked about names in world track and field. In February, he ran 10.04 seconds in the 100 meters, setting a new Australian U20 record. Then in April, at the Australian Athletics Championships in Sydney, he did something nobody expected so soon. He ran the 200 meters in 19.67 seconds. That single run shattered the U20 world record of 19.69 seconds held by American sprinter Arian Knighton since 2022. It also broke the Australian national record. And here is the number that made the whole world stop scrolling. Usain Bolt's best 200 meters time at 18 years old was 19.93 seconds, run at the Carifta Games in Bermuda back in 2004. Gout, at the same age, had already beaten it. That run also pushed him to Hag 16 on the all-time world list, ahead of professional sprinters twice his age. Every part of his season was built around one destination, the World Athletics U20 Championships in Eugene, Oregon, running August 5 through 9 at the legendary Hayward Field. He had already tasted this stage once before. 2 years earlier, at the 2024 World U20 Championships in Lima, Peru, he won silver in the 200 meters. Eugene was supposed to be where silver turned into gold, but the road there was not clean. On June 10, he made his true senior Diamond League debut at the Bislett Games in Oslo, Norway, lining up against Olympic champion Letsil Tebogo. It did not go to plan. Gout struggled out of the blocks and finished 6th in 20.60 seconds, almost a full second slower than his own record. Tebogo won in 19.84 seconds. 6 days later, on June 16, he raced again at the Golden Spike meeting in Ostrava, Czech Republic, this time in the rare 150 meters, against training partner and Olympic champion Noah Lyles, who won in a new world record time. Gout finished 3rd in 14.96 seconds. Despite the rocky Diamond League stretch, he was still heading to Eugene as the reigning U20 world record holder, selected for both the individual 200 meters and Australia's 4x400 meter relay, and the commitment to that plan was total. The Commonwealth Games in Glasgow were scheduled for July 23 through August 2, just days before Eugene began. Gout chose to skip it entirely, giving up one of the biggest multi-sport events in the world to protect his body for the championship that mattered most. Then, on July 8, everything changed. He was training in Brisbane, a normal session, no cameras, no crowd, no warning. Something went wrong in his left hamstring, and he felt it immediately. The next morning, an MRI confirmed the damage. The result, a grade 3 tear in his left hamstring, more specifically a partial tear of the biceps femoris tendon, stretching across roughly 8 centimeters of muscle. Doctors graded it 3C on the BAMC scale, the classification system British athletics uses to measure muscle injuries. For a sprinter, the hamstring is everything. It drives every stride at full speed. A tear like this does not just end one race, it ends a season. Gout announced it himself. On Instagram on July 9, he confirmed he could not compete at the World U20 Championships in Eugene. He said he was very disappointed, but had no other possibility except to accept it. Andrew Fachney, Australian athletics high-performance boss, responded with support, calling Gout's rise over the past couple of years phenomenal, and backing the decision to prioritize recovery over a rushed comeback. The damage spreads further than just one race. His 4x400 relay spot in Eugene will be filled by someone else. The rest of the 2026 Wanda Diamond League season disappears too, all the way through the Brussels final on September 4 and 5. Gout has confirmed there will be no comeback race this year. His full focus now shifts to rehabilitation, with the goal of returning in 2027 better, stronger, and faster, in his own words. And the sport did not wait for him. Just 4 days before his injury, at that very same Hayward Field, American teenager Tate Taylor stunned the sport by beating Olympic champion Letsil Tebogo to win the Prefontaine Classic 200 meters in 19.75 seconds. With Gout out of the picture, Taylor now becomes the man to beat in Eugene, and the rivalry fans wanted to see head-to-head has been delayed indefinitely. But here's why writing him off would be a mistake. He is still only 18 years old. He still holds the official U20 world record in the 200 meters. He still trains alongside Olympic champion Noah Lyles. And he still carries an 8-year Adidas sponsorship deal worth a guaranteed $4 million with bonuses attached for records and championships. None of that disappears because of one torn hamstring. Kenny Bednarek looked unstoppable. That's the only way to describe what happened over the opening 100 meters of the men's 200-meter final at the 2025 USATF Championships in Eugene, Oregon. He exploded off the turn, gapped the entire field, and for a moment it genuinely looked like the race was over. Then Noah Lyles happened. Lyles does not quit, and with one of the wildest closing kicks of his career, he ran Bednarek down in the final meters to win in 19.63 seconds, with Bednarek crossing in 19.67, two men under 19.7 in the same race. That alone should have been the headline. It wasn't. As Lyles crossed the line, he turned and looked back at Bednarek with a stare that everybody in that stadium clocked instantly. Bednarek was furious. About 10 meters past the finish, Bednarek shoved Lyles. Lyles reportedly told him, "I expect my apology." Bednarek reached for a handshake anyway. The internet did not care about the handshake. Clips of the push ran everywhere, and suddenly a track meet turned into the most talked about moment of the entire season. Some people said Lyles' stare down provoked it. Others pointed out Bednarek had drifted 2 lanes over just to get in Lyles' space after the finish. Either way, it was the rawest moment track and field had seen in years. Here's the part people forget. This wasn't some new beef. Lyles and Bednarek have been racing each other since 2021, and Lyles has owned the matchup on the biggest stages. Bednarek has picked up wins here and there, but every time it's actually mattered, the 2021 Tokyo Olympics, the 2024 Paris Olympic final, Lyles has been the one standing taller. Bednarek's story is brutal when you lay it out. 2 Olympic silver medals in the 200 meters, 2 World Championship silvers, silver in Eugene 2022 at 19.77, silver again in Paris 2024, silver again at Tokyo Worlds 2025, running 19.58, while Lyles took his 4th straight world title in the 200.